in that fight night. But I don't know. You just had him main event a fight night, I think, not too long ago. And Stephen Thompson is who he is.
Was it Vicente
Wonderboy.
Luque?
I believe so. No, maybe not.
Well, co-main event, right?
Oh, yeah, co-main event. So he was just a co-main event. He's kind of a name at this point. You have Wonderboy, who is Wonderboy. Everybody knows Wonderboy at this point. Legend, all-star, guaranteed Hall of Famer. And this is on the prelims. I would have liked to see this as a main card fight over
He's
maybe one of the other
he's
ones.
co-main twice in a row, and now he's on the prelims.
Yeah, against Wonderboy. But I don't know, a little odd. Anyways, you want to roll the music and kick this thing off?
Yeah, let's start the show.
It's time!
What's kicking, everybody? We are back for another episode of Picking Fights. We're here to talk about UFC 307, Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree. I'm Keith, joined as always by my amigo Tom. Tom, how are you today, bro?
Doing good. I'm as we were talking about to start the show, still puzzled how we have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson not on the main card, but I'm not complaining about being able to get a Wonderboy fight for free.
Oh, me neither. Me neither. Although this is a pay-per-view that I'll probably be buying anyway. And Stream East has been a little laggy lately.
Streamies got shut down by the government.
Not entirely. Don't believe the news.
All right. Well, I'm definitely out of the loop then, because I've had to find alternatives.
I don't use Stream East. I'm just saying I don't use it, but other people do, and they've told me.
Clearly, I don't use it either, as judged by my remarks, but I have some people that might want to talk to your people. Nevertheless, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is going to be fighting for free. And what do you think of the matchup? Because I'm actually really intrigued. Him at 41 years old is probably going to look better than a lot of guys, much younger than that. But I just don't understand why the UFC wouldn't put him. I feel like Stephen Wonderboy is still a draw. I feel like Joaquin Buckley co-main evented his last two fights. Why you wouldn't shove that on the pay-per-view and make people try to be enticed to buy it? Instead, you're going to give it away for free and try to entice them to buy the pay-per-view because of Rocky Pennington and Julia Pena.
Maybe they're hoping that, being that this is the last fight on the prelims, anybody that was undecided about buying the main card is like, oh, wow, that was a great fight. Let me buy the main card. Let me sink $80 into this, into a couple hours of television.
Perhaps.
And end the prelims with a bang and make people want more. That's the only logical or, maybe they didn't want to make it a 7-fight main card and they felt that Kevin Holland versus Roman Dolidze was more important. In terms of the matchup, do we want to break it down? Do we want to start our prelim notables and start talking about these?
I mean, what's even more frustrating is that it's actually only even a 5-fight main card.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It could have been 6.
It could have very easily been a 6-fight main card. I mean, you got Jose Aldo, which I'm not going to complain about, but I don't know. Kevin Holland would have served the same purpose, I guess. Again, I think whatever. I have a lot of opinions. We'll get to it. Let's talk about, before we talk about Stephen Thompson, we'll leave that as our prelim notable main event. But let's talk about some other prelim notables. I know you had one specifically in mind, and that's Ihor Porteria taking on Cesar Almeida. What intrigues you about this fight, Keith?
There's not much to say here. Ihor Porteria is a guy that they consistently roll out with the hopes that he loses. The first fight that comes to mind for me is when he fought Shogun Rua, and it was Shogun's final fight, and Ihor was supposed to lose. Ihor wins, and then he does some wacky emote. I always think of that. Like, this dude did a Fortnite celebration when he beat Shogun Rua, a legend. And since then, same story pretty much. Most of his fights have been against guys that are rising through the ranks in the UFC. They either need a confidence builder, a hype builder with the fans. And Cesar Almeida is that type of guy. He came into the UFC. I think his debut fight was against Roman Kopylov, his last fight around. The guy doesn't have a lot of professional fights. He's 5-1, and to come into the UFC, fight Roman Kopylov, who is a dog, who is a savage, and lose by I think a split decision, if I'm correct. In a pretty tight fight. Roman Kopylov is a savage. Cesar Almeida stood in there with him. So, and Ihor Potieria can't hang with either of those guys. Actually, his second fight in the UFC was against Roman Kopylov. But split decision, Roman Kopylov is going out there and finished tons of guys. Ihor Potieria doesn't have it like that. Cesar Almeida's got fire in his hands. He's got a really good kickboxing game, solid stand-up grappling. So I'm going with Cesar Almeida to probably finish Ihor Potieria. He is a minus 400 heavy favorite, but I like him a lot, especially by TKO. And the people on Tapology do too. 89% of the votes coming in on Almeida, and the majority of those for him to win by TKO. So, yeah, give me Cesar. What do you got? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, hard to argue with your case there. You just look at the quality of opponents and how they've done against that quality of opponents. And I think the pick is clear. Cesar Almeida, Roman Kopylov has looked pretty good as of late. He had a couple losses there that maybe made us question, where Kopylov stood in terms of skill. But I think he's had a couple wins recently that makes the Cesar Almeida fight look really good in hindsight. And Ihor Potieria, I think, is the guy who we don't necessarily look in at his record and are as fond of it as Cesar Almeida. He's got strong kicks, strong stand up for Cesar. And I just think Potieria leaves himself open too much. He gets finished quite often. So all the bets are going to be on Cesar Almeida. I don't know if this one is bettable, but I mean, could probably take Almeida by finish, see what that looks like coming back.
Yeah, I like the TKO pick even more so to just narrow it down to one method. I like that a lot because Ihor can get finished on his feet.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And speaking of a guy that can get finished, we're looking at OSP at 41 years old, 41 and a half. 3 of his last 5 he had gotten finished in. You saw them knockout losses to Jamal Hill, Tanner Boser, and Felipe Lins. Not all of those, looking back very fondly of those 2 wins coming by split decision over Kennedy Nzechukwu and Mauricio Shogun Hua, split decision 2.5 years ago to him. Shogun Hua is a guy who's fairly old at the end of his career and old when he fought OSP. Not a good look for OSP to take that loss there. And Kennedy Nzechukwu, is he in the UFC still? He wasn't a guy that was having a tremendous amount of success. So I think getting the win over, I think I know OSP was not the favorite in that fight. So getting the win there was, I guess, a relative good look for OSP. I think at 41 years old, he just lost a lot of pop. He's lost a lot of speed. He doesn't have the ability to finish you. On the ground, he may be solid, but I think Ryan Spann has shown, that he has fairly good takedown defense. I know he has lost to Bogdan Guskov 5 months ago. He has a split decision loss to Anthony Smith. He was submitted by Nikita Krylov. Before that, knocked out Dominic Reyes with a power jab, submitted Jan Kutalaba. 33 years old. He's going to be the bigger guy here. Is going to be quicker, and he does have more finishing potential at this stage in his career. So he is a minus 340 favorite. He's the younger guy looking to get back on track. Like I said, he was submitted by Nikita Krylov via triangle choke. I don't think OSP at 41 years old is going to be the type of competition that Nikita Krylov provided Ryan Spann. I think, he wouldn't even necessarily be the type of competition that Anthony Smith provided Ryan Spann just 13 months ago. 5 months is not that quick of a turnaround time for Ryan Spann, so not necessarily a chin concern there. Plus, I don't think OSP has too much power coming back. If I had to look, I'm not even sure the last time OSP got a finish by knockout. He has been finished. Lost to Tanner Boser. Lost there. He knocked out Alonzo Menefield back in 2020. Was his last finish. So pick is Ryan Spann.
Yeah, right there with you.
Okay. Well, now to the, I guess you could say the meat and potatoes of this UFC 307 prelim card. Stephen Thompson, Queen Buckley. We talked about it. Not really. We didn't really talk about it too much, but let's fix that. What do you think?
I think stylistically this could be a really fun fight, but if there's anybody that's going to go in there and be annoying, it's going to be Joaquin Buckley. Like I could see him going out there and going with a grappling heavy approach. He talks a lot of smack. He does what he has to do to get the win, though. He never really follows up what he says. I'm going to go out there and knock this guy out. I'm going to put the paws on him. He is a tactician, though, and he is a really good striker. I just don't think he's going to want to hang in there with Wonder Boy, because Wonder Boy is going to touch him up from a distance, get in, get out, do what he does. And Joaquin Buckley cannot finish Wonder Boy on his feet. Kevin Holland couldn't finish Wonder Boy on his feet, and Kevin Holland is so much better suited for a stand-up fight against Stephen Thompson. So I could see a world in which Joaquin Buckley just goes in there. Maybe the first round tries to strike with Wonder Boy, or the first 2 rounds tries to grapple with him, and then round 3, when the fans are booing him, make things exciting. But if this is a purely stand-up fight, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson will piece up Joaquin Buckley. So, and Joaquin's not like super. He just does what he has to do to win. He doesn't care what people say about him. So it's whether or not he wants to be entertaining, or if he wants to. I think the title shot is out of the question for him at this point. He was maybe making a case for himself for a little while there, but I'm gonna go with Wonderboy. I think that the striking is just so much better. He still looks so crisp at however old he is, in his 40s at this point. And Joaquin Buckley can't handle that unless he goes in there with a Bilal Muhammad approach and just tries to wrestle him. He might do that, but I think Wonderboy's going to piece him up. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, listen, I'm as big of a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fan as they come. He's going to have fairly the same reach, a little bit taller. He does have a very long leg reach, but you could kind of can't say the same for Joaquin Buckley. Even though he had that jumping, spinning back kick, really to bring shine to his name. I could see Joaquin Buckley trying to grind a decision, holding Stephen Wonderboy Thompson up against the cage. Something annoying. Stephen's fast. Stephen's precise. Stephen's also almost 42. So it's a tough one. I want to pick Wonderboy, but Joaquin Buckley is just so much younger at only 30 years old. It's going to be almost a 12-year age difference, 11 and a half years. Sure, there's probably still a gap when it comes to fight IQ, in speed, and creativity. But I think Joaquin Buckley is going to have more energy, more stamina, more strength at 30 years old to be able to potentially hold Stephen Wonderboy Thompson up against the cage, grind a decision. That being said, I'm still going with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to get it done on the off chance that he's able to, keep I don't want to say off chance, but keep Buckley, kind of away from him, use those kicks, use his creativity, use those fast strikes, use the fight IQ, circling off, really putting on a potential clinic. And if he can keep Buckley away from him and circle off, and maybe Buckley gets a little overzealous, Thompson can maybe stun him, slow him down. I would imagine he's trying to chew up the legs to prevent Joaquin Buckley from getting too close to him too quickly, so that he can defend any potential takedowns or clinching that would prevent him from being able to utilize distance and his speed and his karate. So yeah, let's go with Wonderboy Thompson to get this one done, even at the ripe old age at 41 and 7 months.
Yeah, I'm not even super nervous about that. I'm looking back through Joaquin Buckley's fight history, and there's no one stylistically like Wonderboy. And you mentioned stamina could fall off at any time when you start hitting that age, but you mentioned Wonderboy's stamina. I'm not worried about that. He's still able to push such a fast pace against whoever he's fighting. Like the Kevin Holland fight, which was maybe a little over like a year and a half ago, maybe, when the two of them main evented in Orlando. That was such a fast-paced fight, lots of damage done by both guys. I'm fairly confident in Wonderboy this week, but if you are betting, bet responsibly. Don't listen to me, alone. Do your own research, all that good stuff. Don't hold me responsible, but I feel good about Wonderboy. Unless Joaquin Buckley just goes out there and goes crazy with the wrestling. I think it's going to be a decision fight. Over 2.5 rounds is a really solid bet. I think it goes the full length. And if it does, I like Wonder Boy. But anyways, you want to move on to the main card?
Yeah, let's hit the main card. Dude, I'm pumped about this one. Anytime Kevin Holland fights. Honestly, having Kevin Holland and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson on the same card but not fighting each other is a dream situation because I get to enjoy both of them, in this case, back to back, and I don't have to worry about both of them losing. And I think both of them have potentially favorable matchups. We just talked about Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. If he can keep Joaquin Buckley kind of away from him at distance, he can have a lot of success with that striking game. And I think Kevin Holland, some of that applies here. You look at Roman Dolidze when he fights a really solid caliber of striker. He doesn't necessarily always come out on top. It does have wins over Anthony Smith, and aging Anthony Smith just 2.5 months ago, almost 3 months ago.
Yeah.
He over Jack Hermanson and a win over Phil Hawes. Jack Hermanson actually did age fairly well. But there's really kind of two Roman Dolidzes. We have one who's very timid and one who's very aggressive. I think aggressive might have a shot against Kevin Holland, but Kevin Holland is so wonky that, granted, as long as he doesn't break his fist, he's really dynamic. You can't underestimate his ground game, and he's got sneaky good jiu-jitsu. I mean, that is a lot of his, potential base is coming from Travis Lutter jiu-jitsu, but we remember the striking and the knockouts and just overall how exciting he is as a fighter. He really looks good when he drops down to 107 to 170. This fight is happening at what, 85? So, or was Kevin Holland fighting at 205 and then dropped to 85? No, he was
No,
85.
no,
Sometimes fights at
85,
70.
70. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do particularly like him a little bit better at 70 because 70 feels what's interesting is normally the fight, it says, it's a welterweight fight or something like that. It actually doesn't say that here unless I'm missing it.
Go up a little bit. Scroll up. No, that's weird. Yeah. It just says upcoming MMA bout. Yeah, it usually says like upcoming heavyweight bout or upcoming.
Well,
I
if
don't
you
know.
look at the side here, we could see it's happening at 185 pounds. But that
Yeah,
being
but Roman
said,
also typically fights at 205 as well, so
right.
he's dropping down to fight Kevin Holland as well. Maybe that's why it's not there because like Tapology thinks it's like a I don't know, mixed weight bout or whatever. But
We got 205 here, Imavov 205. So to see him dropping down here, I'm interested to see what we're gonna have out of Roman Dolidze, especially him being such a strong guy. It's not like he has a lot of weight on him. He has a fairly quick turnaround. I don't know how the weight cut's gonna be, and then taking some of those, powerful shots from Kevin Holland. Sure, he might be the bigger guy in there, but Kevin never claims to be the bigger guy. Especially at 170, like size was never his forte. I like Kevin Holland's speed. I like his variability in striking, and I like the sneaky jiu-jitsu finishing. I think ultimately he's not necessarily a smarter fighter, but he's a more exciting fighter. I think Roman Dolidze is a little bit plodding, and then when he's not plodding, he's boring because he's holding somebody up against the cage. And when he's not doing either of those things, he's just charging forward with reckless abandon, in which case I'd give the edge to Kevin Holland again. So I like Kevin a lot in this fight. He's minus 170. I'm taking Kevin Holland to get this one done. It really could come from any way. I think, as you can see here from Typology, knockout or decision is the most likely. But I'll go decision, Kevin Holland. What do you think?
yeah, I agree, and I think it's going to be one of those fights where Roman wins a round at least with his grappling. But Kevin Holland a couple of years ago, if this fight would have been made in like 2020, I would have said guaranteed Roman Dolidze win at that point because Kevin Holland had no grappling except for like that up punching knockout against Jacare Souza. Outside of that, Kevin Holland was just getting dominated on the ground. Now Kevin Holland has pretty solid takedown defense. It's pretty solid off of his back. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Kevin Holland to win with the striking, stay at range. And Roman Dolidze also does a lot better in last minute fights, short notice fights, because he actually does normally fight at 185, I think, right? And pretty sure the fight against Anthony Smith was a short notice fight. Wasn't it one of those cards that got like kind of shuffled around a few months ago?
It doesn't sound wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that's kind of what I feel like that was a last minute fight.
It's
But
UFC 303.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Ulberg
Yeah,
withdrew.
he was supposed to fight Olberg, and then he was supposed to fight somebody else, and yeah, it was a weird scenario with that one where Roman Dolidze stepped in, but yeah, I like Kevin Holland here. I'm right there with you. I like Kevin Holland a lot. Keep him at distance, keep him at range. Maybe drop around to him with the wrestling because Roman Dolidze has looked pretty solid at points on the ground, but ultimately Kevin Holland comes out on top, in my opinion. So we're on the same
Yeah,
page.
you're definitely right. Yeah, Delize's an 85er, so going up to 205 was just not cutting weight. So at the end of the day, probably not too big of a concern for him. But interesting to see how Kevin Holland looks. 85, not necessarily short notice, but not necessarily full notice. Like I'm excited for the fight either way. I just hope that it's as exciting as it can be, and it doesn't end up being lackluster because we get one of these two guys holding the other one up against or stalling or something.
Well, that's definitely going to be Roman Dolidze's game plan. Like he doesn't care about being boring. I don't think so. If anybody's going to try and grapple, it's going to be Roman. Kevin Holland, that's not really his thing. He can clinch up against the cage, but he wants to make it an entertaining fight. And I still like him at middleweight. He's been jumping back and forth now, and I think in his last middleweight appearance, he looked pretty good. So I'm rolling with him.
Kayla
Kayla Harris,
Harrison, Ketlin Vieira. Which way you falling on this one?
Kayla Harrison. It's a pretty easy decision for me. She's the backup fighter, I guess, for the co-main event, Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena. Deservingly so. Fast path to the top. Champ over at uh, PFL. PFL Bellator now. But yeah, she was the champ over there. They let her go. UFC scooped her up, and now it's the fast track to the championship. So I think that Ketlin Vieira, while Ketlin Vieira's been good, fought great UFC competition, looked really good. Kayla Harrison's ground game, her judo, all that good stuff. I don't see her getting upset by Ketlin Vieira, and neither does 97% of Tapology. 97% of Tapology is with Kayla Harrison this week. And just scroll back down again. I want to see what the methods that everybody's going with are. So majority by submission. I like that. Some by TKO. And a lot of decisions. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have one method. I just domination if that was an option. Any way she chooses. So Kayla Harrison, what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I would say even though she's plus 550, she hasn't had Rocky Pennington is a split decision loss. Good fight against the eventual champion there. Yana Santos, she has a loss too, but 4 years ago, roughly 3.5. Wins over Misha Tate, Holly Holm, Penny Kazinian, split decision over Holly Holm, of which Kayla Harrison recently finished. Holly Holm, that's 2.5 years ago, so Holly Holm was well into her 40s. So you wonder about kind of what that does to the fighter. Yeah, I'm going to go with Kayla Harrison here. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Ketlin Vieira maybe ended up putting up a little bit more of a fight than other people expect. But I think Kayla Harrison is just so strong that she's going to find her way in. The only concern with Kayla Harrison is she going to make weight every single time because she is so big. But yeah, at the end of the day, if she makes weight, no problem. I could see her definitely, doing a blast double eventually, and fighting very similar to Bo Nickel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if she's necessarily going to go for the knockout in the same way. But I think, people fear that takedown and it's coming. It's only a matter of time, especially, that might leave an opening for a punch here and there, but she doesn't really have great striking. I think Kayla Harrison's going to get in and do damage on the ground like she typically does.
Yeah, she doesn't need to really be able to. I mean, yes, you have to be able to strike, but just with how good she is at getting the fight to the ground and keeping it on the ground and using elbows, and it's really and what was it, PFL? You couldn't use elbows, and then she went in there and elbowed the shit out of Holly Holm. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Kayla Harrison and more of her. And she is a little old at this point, 34, 3 months. 35 seems to be when we're starting to see fighters fall off. But then you also had Holly Holm, who, like, Ketlin Vieira she hung in there with her, right? But Kayla Harrison made her look horrible. Basically,
Yeah.
like reconsider your career at this point, Holly Holm. Like that's the way that she made that fight go. So easy Kayla Harrison pick for me. I think she's gonna finish her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
All right. With that being said, let's move up to the people's main event. Jose Aldo, the second return of Jose Aldo, taking on Mario Bautista. This is a good matchup. This is an exciting matchup. A lot of different ways you could take it. How you feeling?
Well, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of different ways that this could go, and like the odds pretty much reflect that. Jose Aldo plus 145 dog. That says a lot considering the career path that he's had and the trajectory that he's been on, back and forth from the UFC to boxing to retirement to back in the UFC. And now the third fight out on a pretty big card this year. It's weird. Like, it's the stuff of legend how he came back and won his last fight around. Tough to say though, because Mario Batista is he's 5-0 over his last 5, 14-2 in total. He's looked good. Jose Aldo is old, but like he's not. He feels older than what he is because of the long career that he's had in the UFC. Like I look down and it's 38, or right? Is that 38?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Jose Aldo here. He looked so sharp his last time around. The kicking game is still unreal. The hands are still so fast and so precise, and why not take the dog money? Why not go with him when he looked so good the last time around? Mario Batista is really good, but who was it? Jose Aldo fought again last time around. Who was that?
Jonathan Martinez.
Oh yeah, Jonathan Martinez is no chump, and Jose Aldo coming back off of retire. Yeah, I'm going with Jose Aldo again. Why not? Just cause.
Yeah, and 80% of Tapology is agreeing with you. Decision. So I think definitely the safe bet here is a decision. Though there was a lot of safe picks taken last week or 2 weeks ago, and for UFC Paris, and that blew up in our face. So I specifically remember railing and saying, hey, there's absolutely no way that Benoit Saint Denis loses this fight. And he goes out there and gets mauled 10-8, maybe 10-7 in the first round. Does win the second round and gets stopped for a gross cut, basically over both eyes and swollen eyes and what have you. So maybe I shouldn't be in the business of saying something is a lock or a super lock. Mario Batista is, you could see it right there. 5 of 5 for his last 5. Minus 175 favorite, though 80% of the people at Tapology are on Jose Aldo. He absolutely did look, very crisp. He looked fast. I don't expect to see a finish from Jose Aldo, but he does have, very strong takedown defense. And, listen, he's Brazilian. He has a really good jiu-jitsu game if he needs to. I don't think Batista gets the finish. I think Bautista does keep some pressure on Aldo. I think Aldo looks extremely impressive, especially for being 38. I think he goes in there and he contends. But I think this is – see, I'm just trying to make sense of why 80% of Tapology is on Aldo. Maybe name recognition, minus 175 for Batista from Vegas. It means obviously that they're expecting him to win and, maybe – I'd be interested to see how this line moved and try to interpret what Vegas might be thinking because of that. I'm inclined to go with the guy who's 31 years old. Then again, it's only a 7-year age difference, like almost actually look at almost to the day. So this one's really tough. I think Bautista edges it out in a decision, though I wouldn't say minus 175 is my confidence level.
Okay, fair.
I think this could potentially be a pick'em fight.
I think so too. The odds are definitely skewed a little bit. I don't know. It's Jose Aldo. Like he came back and looked phenomenal, but can he do that again? I think yes. The odds of it are no, but he is still a legend and looks super fast the last time around, super crisp. So,
and he can look phenomenal and still not get the victory.
Oh, absolutely, but he might look good enough to get a decision victory. Like it's probably going to be
Potentially, yeah,
a fight.
or at least get one judge.
Yeah, it's probably going to be primarily striking, and like Aldo fights typically are. So I'm sticking with him, but I get where you're coming from with Bautista. That's the smarter pick. Aldo's the riskier pick here.
Hmm.
What do you
Moving
think
up
of
the
this?
card, Co-Main, Rocky Pennington, Juliana Pena. Um, we got current champ taking on former champ.
Yeah,
Both women are grappling heavy.
yeah,
Juliana Pena, I think, doesn't have fantastic striking, but she can do it. Rocky Pennington, for being named after a boxer, not great striking. Uh, does train at altitude, so gonna have a really strong gas tank. Not that that's Juliana Pena's weakness. Uh, both women are getting up there in age. I hope Rocky Pennington wins because we simply don't hear from her,
I don't
and I
want to hear.
can't stand Juliana Pena. She thinks she's the best. She's 10-5. That is not the record of someone who is the best. 3-2 over your last 5, granted against championship level competition. Lost to Jermaine Durandamy by submission for someone who prides themselves on their ground game. I don't love that. 4 years ago, you have a win over Sarah McMahon, and then you take on Amanda Nunes and win the belt, and then lose to Amanda Nunes. I am going to be going with Rocky Pennington. I think she's
Yeah,
just a little bit better. I think Juliana Pena is a little overblown. Um, I think she leaves herself open in a lot of ways. I think especially when things get maybe a little bit hairy, Juliana Pena is more prone to breaking down and I don't want to say necessarily giving up, but freaking out, getting anxious, making bad decisions. I'm going with Rocky Pennington to get this one done.
yeah. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't care much about this fight. I'm gonna take Juliana Pena at plus 150 because of the dog money and because she is so annoying that the universe is going to gift us a
Ha!
Juliana Pena win.
Punish
It's
us.
yeah, um, yeah, pretty much. It's gonna be like a cosmic punishment for all. Like Raquel Pennington beats people like they owe her money. That's funny. It's on the screen now. What do you think of our picks? Leave a comment. We just got a comment from Angry RT. Raquel Pennington beats people like they owe her money. Yeah, she does. I don't know. I kind of expected maybe more from her against Mario Buena Silva. Buena Silva's great competition. I don't know. I just don't care much about this one. I think I'm going to take Juliana Pena at plus 150 because uh, it's kind of illogical. Like Raquel Pennington, I don't know, at minus 185, it might be a steal, because Juliana Pena kind of sucks, but it would just be so. It would be the universe right now. Like we have Marab as a champ, and who else is a champ right now? Bilal. Like we have these annoying champs right now. So I think it would be kind of funny if we just got like another one with Juliana Pena. So I'm gonna go with her at plus 150 and just take. I don't care much. I'm just gonna maybe come back at the end of this one and see who won. I fell asleep during the last co-main event on a pay-per-view, which was Valentina Shevchenko and um, Alexa Grasso. That was another fight. Like these women can't strike; they're just going to lay on top of each other. It's not going to be fun for anyone. So I'm going with Juliana Pena because at least maybe like the post-fight interview will be fun if she wins.
I mean, listen,
I don't know.
there's not as many women who fight that are as interesting as the average male fights. Even some of the jiu-jitsu guys, you're throwing heavy elbows. There's a lot of violence. Oftentimes in women's fights, they're just nowhere near the level of violence. That's not every single woman in the UFC, but Juliana Pena does not fight with bad intentions. Rocky does, but at the end of the day, I don't. I mean, I just want to check before I say this. Decision, submission, decision. She for somebody who beats people like she owes the money. There's not a lot of finishes there. I mean, that's like a Colby Covington kind of thing, which is fair and interesting in its own right. But shit, I mean, and the last thing as I'll say is, when you have a fight like the main event and you have that fight being preceded by Jose Aldo. You got Kevin Holland on the card. You got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson on the card. There's going to be a natural fall off that Rocky Pennington and Juliana Pena are not going to be able to live up to. Now, I will say this. I have made a lot of boneheaded bad calls lately. Again, talking about how impossible it is that Benoit Saint Denis loses. So, shit, maybe this ends up being fight of the night, but I really don't think so. And what I think will happen is people are going to be watching that 5-round championship main event if they're managing to stay awake. Exactly, Keith. If they're managing to watch it, they're just going to be looking forward to the main event, which is Alex Potan Pereira taking on powerful striker, soccer kicker, Khalil Rountree Jr., the Warhorse. I don't know if that's always been his nickname. Nevertheless, dude, plus 350 underdog here against a guy who is 3 years his senior, 3 inches bigger, and has a much longer reach. Much longer, 3.5, judging by Tapology here. Alex Potan Pereira has, ever since he came to the UFC, electrified us. The only loss is to Israel Adesanya at 185 pounds, undefeated at 205 pounds, and he's looked really, really strong doing it. I think, the fact that he was able to be 185 pounds and make that weight as much as he did is a testament to him. And again, the fact that he lost to Israel Adesanya is sure. Izzy was able to outsmart him in a technical sense and finish him, but that was a weight drained version of him. And he looks really, really good. He's fighting often. Really often. Knocked out Yuri Prochazka with a head kick just about 3 months ago. 2 months before that, knocked out Jamal Hill with that left hook after that weird moment with Herb Dean. He knocked out Yuri Prochazka before that. 3 fights, 3 defenses of the light heavyweight belt all in 1 year. And then, split decision win over Jan Blachowicz, who has just got a chin of steel and then walks through a lot of different people's punches. Khalil Rountree at 13-5. You look at his level of competition, and it just doesn't even remotely compare to Potan Pereira's. Modestas Bukauskas knockout sidekick to the knee. Carl Robertson hooks and body kicks. Sidekick to the knee. A lot of people didn't like that from Khalil. They thought that was a little dirty. Carl Robertson hooks and body kicks. Dustin Jacoby split decision. That's against a true kickboxer in Dustin Jacoby. So that's not necessarily something that I think of that it inspires a ton of confidence. Go against Alex Pereira. Chris Dawkins knocked him out. Good. Anthony Smith knocked him out. You're going to have a rude awakening going from Anthony Smith level striking and power to Alex Pereira level striking and power. He is fast. He is powerful. He can put you away before you even realize it. That short left hook can find you. Those low kicks can, hobble you and really ruin your movement. I could see potentially Khalil trying to, just get close to Pereira and push him up against the cage. But I think you got to watch out for that left hook. I don't think Khalil, he's super duper powerful, but he's not necessarily the fastest. He does strike. When he does land, he lands extremely powerfully, but I don't think that he is a guy that is creative and his punch is coming out of nowhere. It just lands with ferocious power that ends up putting people away. And Pereira does fight with his hands down. That's something that you can't necessarily underestimate, but he's fought against power punchers his entire career. He's fought against people that have one punch knockout power his entire career. I'll take Pereira in this one. What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, I'm going with Alex as well. There is a case to be made for Khalil, like you spoke about. Alex walks around with his hands down and is defensively sound, but like not the most defensively sound. And like we've seen Alex once get overhyped up and go in for the kill against Izzy, and since then, like even against Jan Blachowicz, in that last fight around, like he could have had the finish over Jan and really like jumped in there and tried to be crazy at the start of the second round and was still calculated and measured. I think that since then he's learned a lot from that experience. And I think the only way that Khalil really beats him is if Alex gets overly jumpy. Like if he smells the finish, tries to close in there, and Khalil catches him with something. Um, I mean, and this is right place, right time. I know a lot of people think that Ankalaev is the guy that should fight Alex, but I see a world in which Alex loses to Magomed. Well, I don't know. But anyways, both of these guys are on the path that they're on. They have the wins that they've had so far, and so it's right time and place because they're both two of the best strikers in the light heavyweight division. You're right; it is quite a jump from Anthony Smith to Alex Pereira, obviously, but still, I think you want to talk about somebody beating somebody like they owe them money. It's definitely Khalil Rountree. He's got a crazy highlight reel. Doesn't care what he does to his opponent in terms of their future, basically, if he ends their career. As long as that kick is still legal and deemed legal in a fight, like Alex has been having knee issues lately. I'd worry about that a little bit, but I think Khalil makes it a fight and Alex finishes it, maybe round 2 or 3. So going with Alex by knockout, but it's going to be a fun one. I think a lot of people aren't giving Khalil Rountree credit, and he's going to make it potentially even more of a fight than Jan Blachowicz because I don't know, Khalil Rountree hasn't been in there with him yet the way that Jan was, and Jan was like sitting back a little bit. I don't know. It's a weird one. Khalil Rountree, I don't think he's going to be scared, which might lead to him getting caught early. But yeah, let's go Khalil. He doesn't really take a step back ever, like Jamal Hill and Jan Blachowicz, or they fight smart. Maybe the fact that Khalil Rountree just fights angry and not super smart. Maybe that's something different that Alex hasn't faced in a while. Tough to say, but going with Alex. Yeah, sorry for rambling. It's a tough one because I want Khalil to win. I love Alex Pereira, but I also really like Khalil Rountree a lot too. Still have to go with Alex.
I mean, I hear you. I didn't listen to the Rogan with Khalil on there, so maybe I'm missing out on something. But Pereira is one of my favorite UFC fighters right now, and I think he's working on potentially one of the best careers of all time, one of the best UFC runs of all time. When you just talk about coming into the UFC, pure domination, literally only one smudge on that record, which has been avenged multiple times in this and other organizations. As long as he doesn't go down to 185, I think he can avenge that one again. So yeah, I like Pereira. I'll be rooting for Pereira. Nothing against Khalil. I just don't think he's the caliber of fighter as Potan. And hey, listen, it would be a major upset if Khalil won. I think greater than 350, in my opinion. But
yeah, he'd have to knock out Alex, and I think Alex is going to finish him. Khalil's been finished before. Both of these guys have been finished before. It's not totally out of the question that Khalil wins, but it's just so much more unlikely. We've seen what Alex does, the devastation behind that left hook. That thing is a firecracker. So yeah, still sticking with Alex.
Yeah, I mean, Dustin Jacoby was 3 5-minute rounds, knockout. Marcin Prachnio was a decision against Poirier. That's 3 5-minute rounds. Jan Cutelaba knockout. Like, you look at all these, and he hasn't even gone the distance before. So against a guy like Alex, who has a ton of experience going 5 rounds if he needs to, usually if it ends before that, but he's not a guy that uses a lot of energy to begin with. He conserves a lot of his energy. So whereas Khalil, he's thrown with everything he has. So if Pereira can, weather the storm, one thing I want to check of his knockouts, Khalil Rountree, how many came in the first or second round? I mean, round 3 against Anthony Smith, that's definitely saying something. But round 1, round 2, no contest to Michael Olin, Chuck. What happened in this fight?
I don't remember.
Either way, I think I'm going to stay with Prohashka. Pereira here. So
Yeah, me too. Definitely. And just speaking about Alex's career and the legacy he's cementing for himself, he's one step closer to GOAT status if he beats Khalil this weekend, because I think he then breaks Ronda Rousey's record for fastest to 3 title defenses, with one belt. So, it's like 100 something days, I guess, that he would have defended the light heavyweight belt 3 times. So he wants to be super active. It's another record that he would break. It's another feather in his cap. And unfortunately, I think Khalil Rountree is going to get beat. But he does make it a fight. I think he makes it a fun fight. This is exciting still. Both of these guys have fireworks. Don't sleep on Khalil.
He defended it 1, 2, 3. This will be his 4th defense. Or no, did he win it here?
Yeah, he won because it was the vacant belt against Prohashka.
Won it, defense 1, defense 2, and this will be defense number 3. All within 100 days. Or not? Is that 100? April, May, June, July, August, September, October. That's like 6 months, 7 months, or November to October, whatever. You get it.
Yeah, whatever.
He'll win the belt and defend it 3 times, all within a year.
Yeah,
it's insane.
That might have been it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, you want to put a bow on this one? Wrap it up. Pick one down. Lead us off, Tom. What do you got?
All right. In terms of the prelim, I'm going to be going with Ryan Spann over OSP. I'm going to be going with Cesar Almeida over Porteria and going with Thompson over Buckley. Main card time going Holland over Dolidze, Harrison over Vieira. I am going to go Bautista over Aldo. Hope I'm wrong there. It's going to be a good fight. I'm going to go Pennington over Pena and Pereira over Rountree Jr. I think the both champs defend. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going Ihor. I'm sorry, not Ihor Poteria. Trying to look on your screen and it's small on my screen, so I'll just be looking down at my phone real quick. I'm going with Cesar Almeida over Ihor Poteria. Wonderboy Thompson over Joaquin Buckley, Kevin Holland over Roman Dolidze, Kayla Harrison over Ketlin Vieira, going with Jose Aldo over Mario Batista. I'm going to take Juliana Pena to beat Raquel Pennington, even though I think Raquel's the smarter pick. Juliana Pena could get it done, and I like the dog money. And Alex Pereira over Khalil Rountree, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Just want to thank Angry RT in particular. Like the comments. Be like Angry RT. Like, comment, and subscribe, please, if you liked the video. Join us live. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button to get notified when we go live, and then you can jump in the comments, and we like talking with you in the comments. So, come have a conversation with us. Follow us on Twitter as well, at Pick and Fights Tom for Tom, at Pick and Keith, that's mine, and at _Pick and Winners on Twitter as well and Instagram. Thank you, Angry RT. Good show. Please subscribe. And am I missing it? Oh, Spotify for audio, video. Am I missing anything else, Tom?
No, I've just been playing around with the banner, so I haven't even really been paying attention, to be honest with you. But it sounded good to me. Sounds like we hit everything. As long as you, shoot us a comment, let us know your picks, what you think of the show, like and subscribe. We appreciate you check us out.
Double chunk chocolate cookie.
Oh, that's a Tim Dillon fan if I know one.
There is one.